Hello and welcome back to Have You Ever Heard Of? Today we're going to talk about the live-action Jungle Book movie. No, not that one, the older one.
No more fantastic, no more imaginative.
Not that old. It had Sam Neill in it. And that's funny because Sam Neill, who the hell's editing this? That explains a lot, actually. Released by Walt Disney Pictures in 1994, this adaptation of Jungle Book dives into the trials and tribulations of an adult Mowgli trying to balance the life of being human and being an animal. But more importantly, it has an all-star cast and seems to have slipped under the radar as far as memorable Jungle Book movies go. This movie is... Oh yeah, guess I don't have my physical copy of the movie anymore. Well, maybe I should go and buy them. Holy shit! Why is this so expensive? No one would pay that much for a DVD. Especially when you could just rent it online for a couple of dollars and just record the whole thing onto your computer. Which may or may not be what I did. Let's just move on. Our story begins with Mowgli's origin story before he was raised by wolves. Turns out he hung out in a caravan while listening to a Sam Neill narration.
Life is a spinning wheel, it has been said, with each spoke a tale to be told. So keep silence along the banks.
Yeah, no promises there.
It is about pride and power and treasure, and about fangs and claws and talons.
That sounds frickin' awesome. I'm actually pretty hyped for this movie.
But mostly, it is about love.
And now it's gone.
With me was my daughter Catherine, whom everyone called Kitty.
I really hated when people did that. The narration gets interrupted by Shere Khan and blatant preaching on the ills of hunting for sport.
He's angry because these men with their guns have gone into his jungle and killed more than they can eat.
Yeah, get used to that. That night at camp, Mowgli creeps on Kitty and tries to put the moves on her, who rejects his kiss, but then gives him jewelry. You're giving the poor bastard mixed signals here, kid. But enough of that gooey crap, we have a tiger massacre to watch. This is Shere Khan's first appearance out of 3, by the way. Yeah, we only see him 3 times in this Jungle Book movie. In a nutshell, Mowgli's dad is killed, and Mowgli somehow winds up on a cart that catches on fire and causes the horses to run like hell into the jungle. Oh, and the cart is loaded with kerosene. Boy, when things go wrong.
I got the boy.
But I think Kitty has the worst of it all, since if she'd only waited a few hours, she could have saved herself from losing a precious family heirloom.
Where's Mowgli, Father?
He's gone, Kitty. The boy is gone.
Best not bother looking for the body. That kid's a write-off. But of course, Mowgli bailed before the explosion, and we get to the point of the story we're all familiar with. Bagheera finds Mowgli, Mowgli gets adopted by the wolves, Winnie the Pooh gets trapped in Rabbit's house, and now Mowgli's Tarzan. I never read the book, so I'm just gonna assume this is all faithful to the source material. But one day, Mowgli's bracelet gets stolen by a monkey. Thank Christ it's a real one this time. And ends up in the possession of King Louie. The animals don't get to talk in this movie, so unfortunately that means there's no I Wanna Be Like You song. But on the plus side, that means it's not being sung by Christopher Walken. In this version of the story, King Louie has a big-ass treasure hoard, and Mowgli finds a dagger to stab him to death with. Man, I didn't even know dark reboots existed in the 90s. King Louie has a trick up his sleeve, though, and sends Kaa after Mowgli. At least I think it's supposed to be Kaa. He's a giant snake. He doesn't do the whole hypnosis thing, but I guess he doesn't have to, because he's a giant goddamn snake. Also, the implication here is that Kaa and Louie have some sort of mutual agreement. So I'm guessing Louie keeps up his end of the deal by feeding Kaa his monkey followers? Maybe I'm just overthinking all this. Regardless, Mowgli gets his bracelet back. And speaking of bracelet, we now get to see Kitty all grown up, and holy shit, it's Cersei Lannister! While walking through the jungle, probably plotting to cut someone's dick off, Cersei comes across Mowgli and Baloo, who start play fighting to impress her. This doesn't seem to work though. As she escapes, she runs into, holy shit, it's the Dread Pirate Roberts!
You're a very naughty girl.
Not in public, Billy.
Actually, it turns out Cersei and Wesley are riding the Mac train.
And am I to be your prey?
Yeah, so, about that guy you saw wrestling a bear a few minutes ago? Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. Mowgli actually turns back up, mistaking Wesley's flirting for aggression. Yeah, I get that problem too. And throws him in the river. Some more members of the Prissy Boy Brigade show up and follow suit, until one of them draws a gun on him.
I'm warning you.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
Whoa, whoa! Way to be a buzzkill. I mean, geez, I know you're supposed to be the bad guys here, but let's show some humanity first to contrast that with. Christ. Fortunately, Bagheera saves the day and scares the Whiteys off. Mowgli only suffering a small little bullet wound in his arm. I'm sure that doesn't need any medical attention. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's never mentioned again. Seems perfectly fine when he sneaks into Cersei's room the next day.
What are you doing here? Please leave. If I scream, they'll hear me.
Sam Neill said this was a story about love, but all I'm seeing is a story about a man who'll stop at nothing to make a random girl kiss him, even if he has to take a gunshot to the arm.
What is it with you and flowers and kissing?
Yeah, I'm not buying this whole decades-long romance thing. It was probably just luck that she was the first woman he's seen. She doesn't even recognize him until she sees her mother's bracelet, so who's to say he even knew who she was? Maybe he just really wanted to make out with a woman. I mean, the guy's only been around wolves and monkeys most of his life. I don't blame him. Wesley shows up to spoil the reunion, and we get a chase through the busy street full of classic Indian shenanigans, like a man walking on hot coals and a rope charmer? I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a snake. Think you got your Indian stereotypes crossed there. I'm also pretty sure this shit defies all laws of gravity. This movie's been pretty grounded in reality up to this point, and suddenly there's magical ropes, which end up helping Mowgli escape and probably breaks this guy's back. The locals are kind of assholes. For all they know, they just aid the escape of a murderer. I mean, he very nearly assaulted a woman. But Mowgli ends up getting caught anyway and sent to the dungeons where we meet racist Scotty.
Come on, my little brown brother.
He never was the same after Kirk moved him out of engineering. Luckily, Cersei, Sam Neill, and, oh yeah, John Cleese is in this too, are the only white people in this movie who aren't shitheads, and get Mowgli out of the dungeon and on the path to becoming a proper Englishman. Which, of course, involves a wacky montage. Wait a second, this is Tarzan! Did I play the wrong movie? Fortunately, montages are where John Cleese puts on his A-game.
One man, two women. Lucky man.
While learning how to properly stir his tea.
No. Clockwise. Clockwise.
Which I'm actually not sure if it's supposed to be a joke or not. Mowgli teaches Cersei the ways of living with nature.
You could have spoken to me the first time in the jungle. Would you have said, oh? Did you feel anything?
Fire.
Fire.
A great fire.
Yeah. See, I wasn't lying when I said Mowgli was a creeper. You know, it's interesting fire is mentioned in this scene, given that it's such an important part of the Jungle Book story. Being able to control fire is the only thing that separates Mowgli from the animals, and it ends up playing a huge role in the climax of most adaptations of the book. But in this movie, it's only mentioned once, and used as a metaphor for Mowgli's boner. Meanwhile, Wesley learns that the dagger they stole from unconscious Mowgli belongs to a lost ancient city that's said to have untold treasures, and it's suspected that Mowgli might know the way to the city. Or something like that. Sorry, I guess I'm just getting too distracted by this kid smoking a fucking pipe. Anyway, back in the love triangle side of things, Cersei comes back home to a very worried and very mustached Sam Neill, who threatens to send her back to England if she doesn't find a suitor.
I may turn your mind to settling down.
I've plenty of time.
No. No good reason for you to stay on. Unless, of course, there's a better offer.
I assume by better offer he means not her own brother. So it looks like she'll have to do with Wesley, and I've got a feeling they'll be perfect for each other.
Get used to disappointment.
Wesley offers to take Mowgli off her hands for a while so he can carry out his evil scheme. But first, we need more preaching on the wrongs of animal killing.
Something wrong, Mr. Ventura?
Of course not. This is a lovely room of death.
You almost sound like a man. Instead of an animal that's been trained to sound like one.
The more I learn what is a man, the more I want to be an animal.
Yeah, we get it. All mankind is evil. Give me more John Cleese.
Boy, now look at that. The colour and majesty of India, the exquisite manners and food of England, all the bare necessities of life.
Haha, he said the thing from that movie with the bear and...
Very funny.
So the only point of this shindig is to have Wesley and Cersei announce their engagement, which confuses Mowgli.
What does this mean, Doctor?
It means, Mowgli, that they are to wed. It means she belongs to him.
Did I mention that this movie is actually pretty well written? With the inconceivable news, Mowgli decides to run off back to the jungle, but first has some parting words with Cersei.
I run with the wolf pack. You must run with the man pack.
Ah, playing the brooding loner card, are we? Sure beats just straight up trying to French her. In fact, it works so well that Cersei immediately breaks it off with Wesley. But that don't matter to him. He's got treasure to find and a Mowgli to capture. Oh, fuck off with that. Does every movie have a quota they need to meet on making children cry or something? Wesley might as well have horns coming out of his head and fire spewing out of his ass. You don't need to further my dislike for him. Man, I'm so upset I feel like running through a jungle in slow motion. After breaking off her engagement, Cersei decides to head back to England when more of these assholes show up. Sam Neill gets shot and... oh great, now John Cleese is a goner too. Why not just get rid of all your likable characters, movie? Well, it's a good thing Mowgli was looking for a doctor.
You saved my life, Mowgli.
Yes, Doctor. Now I need you to save the life of another.
Not gonna lie, if Blue wasn't shot, you'd be fucking dead. Wesley ends up kidnapping Sam Neill and Cersei as motivation for Mowgli to take them to the monkey treasure, which Mowgli agrees to do. But according to Mowgli, it turns out Shere Khan is hunting them, for no particular reason. So Mowgli decides he needs to escape to protect Cersei and her father, by having them stay with their captors.
I must protect you from him. I must escape.
We're going with you.
No, it's safer with these men and their guns.
Wait, what? At any rate, Mowgli makes a run for it and ends up leading Scotty into a pit of quicksand. Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Also scientifically inaccurate. But hey, maybe racism made him denser. Meanwhile, the baddies carry on towards the monkey treasure and leave Sam Neill for dead. But Mowgli leaves Cersei a message.
My father lives.
Oh, of course, that's what that means. A row of flowers and a piece off of a uniform is the universal sign of not being dead, apparently. Oh, and Mowgli kills a guy.
What a shame. Well, shall we continue?
Wow, what an uncharacteristic thing for her to say. If she wasn't fucking Cersei Lannister.
Kill him.
And by kill him, I mean watch him jump in the lake and then walk away. Well, that's 2 bad guys down. Oh, and it looks like this guy decided to randomly wander from the group. Guess he's next. To get a hug from a giant kitty. But seriously though, it's almost like I'm watching a horror movie trying to predict which character's next to die a gruesome death. It's weird. All who's left finally make it to Monkey City.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Too bad we've seen this kind of scene a bazillion fucking times. The last of the jerkwads tries to gun down Mowgli in the temple, but ends up triggering a booby trap. Though I'm really confused as to why this particular area was so elaborately constructed to seal in this room using sand. Seems really impractical. Oh well, he dead. Wesley and Cersei, of course, find their way into the treasure room and a fight ensues. Which would be intense if it didn't constantly cut to King Louie mugging.
Oh dear!
Mowgli has Wesley on the ropes and decides to just take Cersei and run.
All right, go then! Go! Go with your jungle boy! I got what I came for! I don't need you!
And we all know where this is heading. And then there were none. But what about that third and final appearance of Shere Khan, you're probably wondering? Well, it's pretty lackluster.
What's happening?
Shere Khan sees me not as a man, but as a creature of the jungle.
As for you, I'd start running. Yep, Shere Khan, Mowgli's fiercest enemy in any Jungle Book adaptation. And in this version, they stare at each other for a bit and walk away. Anyway, everybody makes it back safe. Sam Neill is safe, and even Baloo is safe. Yay! Still a dick move making me worry about him, movie. And after stalking her, breaking into her room, and forcing himself on her, Mowgli finally gets the girl after beating up her ex with his shirt off. That's about the gist of it. Pretty sure I'm not leaving anything out. Bottom line, this movie I actually really enjoy. It's got its flaws, sure, like calling itself a love story, even though it's got a whole shitload of other things going on that's way the hell more interesting. That and the love aspect boils down to really nothing more than two people who have no one better to choose from. But overall, the writing is really good, the cast is really good. Of course, you can't go wrong with some of the classiest British actors there are. And for some reason, I remember always liking how nature systematically kills off the bad guys near the end. Though, I don't think a random temple booby trap counts. Basically, I had a hard time finding things about this movie to poke fun at, and that usually means it's pretty solid. That or I'm biased. And that's pretty much my thoughts on the Jungle Book movie. The 1994 one, not the 1942 or the 1967 or the 2016, or fuck me, there's a lot of Jungle Book movies. You know, what the hell ever happened to putting a subtitle or number in movie titles? It's almost like they want to make it difficult to tell the difference between two movies. Hell, the new Halloween movie is just called Halloween, even though it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the first one. Whatever. This has been Have You Ever Heard Of? And I just remembered the remembering game.
No, I'm not king of the jungle, the jungle be at peace. I breathe